everyone. I'm Beth Berger. I'm really excited to be sitting here with Sally today. One of the things that I think has been really exciting over the last year is to start to see how some of the smartest marketers are starting to think about really integrating a lot of the buzz of AI more deeply into like actual business operations, right? And so I think Sally and her team are doing some of the most sophisticated work that I've seen in growth these days. And so I'm just really excited to have a conversation that I hope is both really interesting and also like useful to the folks here in this community. So I want to start by inviting Sally. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you come to be in the seat you are in today?
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Sally. I've been in the mobile marketing space for about 10 years now. I actually got my start at one of the ad networks, kind of worked my way through there, and then eventually ended up in gaming, I think like a lot of people here. And then I joined Chime about 6 years ago, and at that time, Chime was a very small company. I don't think many people knew who Chime was. We were 100 employees big, but I was very moved by their company mission to improve banking for most of America. So I joined on with this background in mobile marketing to kind of get them started. At that time, Chime was also very heavy on the web marketing side. So with my background and my bread and butter being a mobile marketing, I came to help them diversify that portfolio.
That's so interesting. And so one of the things that we were talking a little bit about backstage is just how quickly things have been changing over the last 6 years, especially when it comes to the sophistication with which brands think about integrating web and mobile and just their overall growth strategies. I'd love for you to just maybe baseline us a little bit on how Chime's strategy has evolved over the 6 years that you've been there when it comes to mobile app marketing.
Yeah, and that was really interesting because, again, as I said, when I first came in, we were very heavy on the mobile or on the web marketing side of the business. And we were predominantly just on Facebook and Google. I think that makes sense for a lot of smaller companies just getting started on the marketing side. But I kind of came in with the perspective that we should be doing a little bit more. So got our start on paid social, doing a lot of app marketing there. And then we eventually went to some of the big players like Moloko on the open exchange of the programmatic space, and just started doing a lot of Android as well. At that time, iOS 14.5 was also just getting started, and we didn't quite have the bandwidth to get started on scan, figuring out our conversion schemas. And I think for a very easy into mobile marketing, Android was the way to go. So we spent a lot of time trying to scale up a lot of our efforts there. And then once we kind of got our footing in mobile marketing and had a lot of support from the AppsFlyer side to learn about scan, we started to get ramped up on iOS as well. So that took quite some time. I don't think you guys realize that like mobile marketing can take so much time and effort to be successful. But again, we've had a lot of great resources from the Moloko side, all the folks at AppsFlyer who has helped me on scan to get to where we needed to be. One really interesting thing that we've also been trying to figure out is like, how do we measure success across all of these different channels that we're onboarding as well? And for Chime, our North Star is our CAC metric. So as we onboard all these different channels into Chime, like how do we think about how this CAC metric can be measured the same across all of these different partners? And that's been a great challenge for us because we have to differentiate between a very high intent channel versus like a discovery channel like Moloko.
That's really interesting. One of the things that has really stood out to me about your team is how deeply integrated you are with your BI team from the marketing side. Can you, just because I think it's such a helpful thing for all of us as marketers to be thinking about, like how have you seen that relationship evolve over time as well, along with your overall marketing strategy?
Yeah, so I would say in the very beginning, we did not have relationships across a lot of cross-functional partners. That definitely came with a lot of time. And I think as mobile marketing started to grow and become its own piece in Chime marketing, we started to get quite a lot of support from our cross-functional partners. And these stem from machine learning teams to data science teams, our product teams, and our analytics teams. And as we started to get our footing down in mobile marketing, we realized, hey, we actually need quite a lot of support in order to evolve mobile marketing over time. So actually one example that's been great that we found a lot of success in is event optimization, right? As we continue to evolve our events that we're optimizing through partners like Moloko, how can we bring in our cross-functional partners to evolve those events over time? And our data science teams have been the ones like figuring out what are those really important inputs that have to go into these events, and figure out how to have the best chance of success on these programmatic partners. So yeah, that's been an interesting transition from just baseline marketing to evolving our marketing over time.
Yeah, so event testing, that's something we think about a lot in the age of AI and machine learning applied to marketing overall. Maybe could you double click on how you think about event testing as part of your overall strategy? Like, how do you lead your teams through that so that you're, able to show progressive improvements over time?
Yeah, again, I think having the support from cross-functional teams have been really important for developing event testing.
Who are those cross-functional teams for you?
Yeah, for us, we've brought a lot of partners over from the data science and the machine learning side. So for us, we had to think about like inputs that we worked with Moloko's team on, and figured out like what are those really important features that we should build into our own event testing to make it the most successful. So our data science team would talk to Moloko's data science team and then figure out what those inputs are and build them into like each of these events. And then another cross-functional partner that has been really important for us has been analytics, actually. They're the ones figuring out how to run these experiments, making sure that we're getting our power calculations correct and accurate, that we're running the tests for the most accurate length of time, and then they're doing the analysis at the end to make sure we're statistically significant.
That's so interesting. I think it's depending on where you sit and sort of how your company thinks about analytics, it can sometimes be kind of hard to kick off some of those cross-functional partnerships. Do you have any advice for people who might sit in marketing and growth teams, and how they can go from kind of like what's step one into having that kind of cross-functional relationship?
Yeah, I think seeking out and building those relationships over time is really important. We started with our analytics partnerships. They were very easy to convince to come help marketing. And we do, I think at Chime, we were very fortunate to already have marketing analytics. So pulling them into meetings with Moloko was kind of the first start on getting them really involved early on in like what we were doing, what our strategy was. And then over time, they started to help us build our campaigns as they got more complex over time. But I would say get them involved early, make sure that they have all the context that they need in order to help you with your campaigns. And then you can really evolve from there. We went from testing one event with Moloko to now 6 on the roadmap. So now we have a pretty robust testing strategy that we're very proud of.
Yeah, it's really impressive. Something you and I were talking about backstage is both of us have been working in mobile for quite some time. And if you had asked me in like 2015, 10 years ago, like I would have told you this would be a lot easier, but channel diversification, like this is still a huge challenge, I think, for a lot of folks who are trying to figure out what's the optimal balance of testing and experimentation and getting more breadth and reach alongside efficiency and just capability to manage things. So how do you think about channel diversification, and how do you think about what you want in a partnership to make that successful for you?
Yeah, I think very early on, we had to really think about this because there was only Google and Facebook, and how do you search into hundreds of partners to make sure they're going to fit what you need? So some of the first capabilities that we look at is just like technical capabilities, like are they integrated with our MMP? Are they able to integrate with our cost API, et cetera? And then the second is like, are they able to hit our goals without too much risk, right? Do they have the targeting capabilities to do that? Do they have the inventory to do that? And then some of the extra pieces that we really wanted were like experimentation capabilities. So do they have the capabilities to do A/B testing? And again, event testing, as we talked about, has been really important to us. So making sure that they can input different events and A/B test them. And then on top of that, can they also A/B test different parts of my campaign, whether it's on the campaign level, on the event level, or on the creative level. So making sure that they were very robust in their experimentation capabilities was important. And then the last piece was scalability. So as we continue to test these partners and get them out of testing phase, can this be a very long-term partnership that we can consider for years down the line? Are they able to grow to a scale that's sustainable over time? And then we talked a little bit about CAC and goals and how we can measure these partners on a success level and how different channels could have different CAC goalposts. I think that's especially true as we grew different categories of partners and we diversified our portfolio because, for a channel like Google Brand Search that's very high intent for us and someone's searching for Chime already, they're going to have a very, very different intent than someone who's just searching and discovering Chime as an app for the first time on a programmatic exchange. So how do you think about different CAC for different channels and then manage all up into one blended CAC goal for the portfolio?
So just that set of things, that's all. And when you think about your channel diversification. I think when we talk about AI, I think a lot of people really spend a lot of time talking about the technical capabilities. But when I think about applying a lot of the ways that we think about AI and the places that they're already starting to be helpful when it comes to growth and to marketing, we talk about targeting, we talk about bidding, we talk about creative production. Something I almost never hear spoken about is what's happening on the people side in order to leverage all this great brand new AI technology that's changing so quickly. How do you bring that to life? What do you look for in the people and partnership side of things to make that work for you?
Yeah, something that's been really unique about this partnership that we've had with Moloko is that for everyone that we brought into this partnership, Moloko has actually been able to support on their side as well.
You can also talk about not Moloko and people that are helpful too.
Yes, but I think something that's been really helpful and helped us build upon the partnership was just being able to have support from our team and then having them be able to talk to people on the partnership side, right? So for example, for event testing, some of the data science teams that we were working with had to really ask the partnership side, what are the really important inputs that's going to go into events that we need to consider as well? So for example, one of the events that we were building for our CAC was, so for our CAC, it's a 30-day out event. So we had to really think about an event that was going to fit into some of these algorithms, right? Most partners cannot optimize for a 30-day event. So what are the inputs we can consider in a 7-day post-install window instead, and build those into events so that we can be successful. So that definitely took a lot of iteration. We were not successful on the first try, but basically over time, as these two teams talked to each other, we figured out what were the correct inputs that worked instead, and we built those into new events. So that's how we became very robust in our testing and got us into a great testing framework.
That's really good to hear. I think, I'm curious, are there other ways that you found, are there other places that you're looking for your teams to get more just help and partnership when it comes to taking advantage of AI? What feels hard today that the human level expertise helps you guys take action on?
Yeah, I think for AI, it can only bring you so far. The inputs that you put into AI you're only going to be able to feed AI with the inputs that you give it. I think in terms of innovative solutions, that's really going to come from partnership and thought partnership and being able to talk to each other, right? Thinking about a 30-day event and then having an innovative thought about how do we bring that 30-day event to become a predictor event that's going to happen within 7 days was something that AI was never going to think about for us. And that required just so much collaboration from cross-functional teams.
Yeah. So I think we've talked a lot about how you've thought through really, really sophisticated frameworks around event testing. I'm curious what you're finding on the creative side right now. Where are you finding real tangible value from some of the new tooling and capabilities that are coming out?
Yeah. And we're just starting to lightly touch on this at Chime. I think the event testing has been a really great gateway into how partnerships can enable us to test further. On the creative side, we started to use some AI tools to iterate on concepts that have already started to work very well. But again, AI can only bring you so far. Thought partnership and innovative solutions have been able to bring us further on the creative side than AI ever could. So when we're testing on creatives, we do a lot of great brainstorming sessions at Chime. So we go out and we do some competitive research. We also have really creative folks within our design teams that can think about fun experiments that we've never tested before. We kind of all bring those in, and we can feed our creative learning agenda rather than depending on AI to do that. But AI has helped us to iterate really quickly, and that's where I think we can find the real value of AI. And for example, when we find one creative that has worked really well, we can quickly make 50 iterations of that. But it can never replace like the experimentation and the testing agenda that we have in place.
Yeah. So given all the change, given all the experimentation you have been doing, when you look ahead to this year, where do what are you excited about? Where do you feel like you're going to see a lot of return on your time for your team in continuing to test and iterate?
Yeah, I mean, event testing, again, has been just so big for us. We found so much great success just within this past year. And as I said earlier, based off of our successful tests, we created 6 new events to test. So we have a very full testing agenda. We planned out the entire roadmap for this year around event testing. So we're very excited to use all of our team's inputs to really run these experiments and make sure that we can be very successful in the long run.
So you have your whole year's worth of event testing plan?
We do.
That's incredible,
yes,
right?
we planned our entire roadmap at the end of 2024 based on the successful tests that we saw.
Wow. Well, to close us out, one of the things that I just love so much about the world of mobile and growth is like there's very few places where I think the sort of spirit of community and collaboration are as strong as it is in this community. And as you can hear, I mean, Sally has just an incredible career and a lot of thought leadership in this space. I wanted to close us by asking, when you think about you have 6 years under your belt at Chime, and you think about, what your biggest takeaway has been from that time that you think other people would benefit from, like what would be your advice for the folks? We've got people here in all different phases of their careers. What advice would you give in how people think about their own mobile marketing?
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson I've really learned is just to advocate for myself and what I know about mobile marketing. As I said, when I first started at Chime, like no one was doing mobile marketing. It was actually a very hard channel to ramp up. I've been at Chime for 6 years, and it took me quite a while to get mobile marketing to the place I wanted to be at today. And it took a lot of convincing across functional teams, including our legal and our compliance teams. They have never seen technologies like AppsFlyer, right? So being able to convince them that mobile marketing was going to be the next big step, and doing a lot of education on what the IDFA is and why that's important for mobile marketing definitely took some time. But as I got ramped up, they were able to see the benefits from doing this, how we've been able to diversify our portfolio, get into new inventory sources we never had before. And just the scalability of mobile is so great, right? So merging or transitioning from web marketing over to mobile marketing has taken quite some time. But I think advocating for best practices, the best practices I know, has really helped just with the transition.
Well, thank you. As you can all hear, Sally is an incredible resource, both from a long career in mobile, as well as really thinking about how you take an organization sort of over that maturity journey when it comes to leveraging the channel. So seek her out. You can now see the space, find her for the rest of today, and just huge appreciation for sharing all of this. It's been so fun to talk about with you. Thank you
so much.